Hi, welcome to our first session on common myths when setting boundaries. Today we're going to be covering myth number one, which is when I say no or I set a limit, I'm being selfish. And the truth is, no, you're not being selfish. Now, what I'm about to say is going to spark a little bit of controversy, but what I ask is if you hear me out to the end, you'll see the direction that I'm coming from and have a better understanding of what I'm getting ready to say. And again, the truth is, no, you're not being selfish. You're being self-centered. Now, I know right now, most of you are saying, well, what's the difference? Or how is that being any better? Okay. And so what I want to do is I want you to hear me out to the end here as we take a look at definitions. Okay, because now one definition of that self-centered is that very common definition that we're familiar with. It's the negative one. It says that it is someone who is self-centered, is someone who's only concerned about their interests, their desires, their needs, and their whole motivation is for that self-satisfaction within themselves. Okay? And that is a definition. Okay? But when we look at Webster's dictionary, there is actually another definition. And that definition is one who is independent of outside force or influence. Okay, again, one who is independent of outside force or influence. So, in other words, okay, someone that is independent of outside force or influence is actually someone that does not let others or even groups of people influence them or force them to conform to their desires, to their demands, especially when it's bad for them, especially when it's bad for you. Okay? That is someone that is independent of that outside force. Okay? And the truth of the matter is that we can actually be a better friend because we're not reacting to their demands, but we are acting on our own beliefs, on our own understanding, and that is an understanding of who we are in Christ. And see, that's the key foundation that I want you to understand when I talk about the self-centered. Okay? That self-centered is when self, okay, when our concept of self is aligned with who Christ says we are. When it's based off of our belief and our identity in who Jesus says that I am. And the truth of the matter is that we are commanded to love God and to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. Now, I know there's even controversy around that about, loving self, but the simple fact of the matter is as we love ourselves. And it's not that I'm so wonderful love. It's that love, that respect of knowing who we are, that our identity is based in Christ and who he says we are. And we understand his love for us and why he loves us, and we're able to love neighbors as ourselves because it's Christ that's coming through us. So when we are loving ourselves and we are seeing ourselves in that identity of Christ, then we can begin to love our friends. We can love those others just as Christ loves them as well. So you're not being selfish, and it is okay to say no, especially when it's not good for us, especially when it goes against who God says we are.